There is a law that governs every connection. Silent, invisible, merciless. The moment you stop caring is the moment the equation flips. For months, maybe years, they thrived on your pursuit. You were the current that kept their dead battery alive. But now you've gone dark. And when the power source cuts off, something terrifying happens. They awaken, not in love, not in clarity, but in panic. This is the last dirty game avoidants play. The moment when your silence becomes louder than their excuses, you'll see them shift overnight. The person who couldn't reply to your texts suddenly crafts essays. The one who claimed to need space now suffocates you with presence. Their transformation is so sharp, so dramatic, that for a fleeting second, you'll believe you've won. That is the trap. Because what you're witnessing isn't growth, it's survival. Like a drowning swimmer, they will thrash, they will reach, they will claw for anything that keeps them afloat. And your attention, your empathy, your devotion, have always been their lifeline. When you cut the rope, they don't find themselves, they just panic. Here's the cruelest twist. Their last performance will look exactly like the love you prayed for. The timing will feel fated, the effort will feel vindicating, but it is not love, it is leverage. Their desperation disguised as devotion, and once you recognize it for what it is, the final move of someone who never intended to change, you will never unsee it. Stay, because in the next moments, I'll show you the anatomy of their last game chapter by chapter. By the end you won't just understand them, you'll be immune to them. For years, they thrived on an invisible contract. Your emotions as fuel, their distance as control. You carried the weight of two people, while they floated in the comfort of knowing you would never let go. Every unanswered text, every cold silence, every withheld word was powered by one quiet assumption: you would always return. But then something rare happens. The orbit breaks, not with a scream, not with fireworks, just with stillness. You stop explaining, you stop chasing, you stop begging them to see the value they should have recognized from the beginning. And in that silence, the universe tilts. The energy that sustained them evaporates. This is the moment they never expected, because avoidants build their entire strategy on one belief, that your devotion is infinite. When that belief collapses, so does their illusion of control. What they feel isn't love awakening, it's survival screaming. Like an astronaut cut loose from their tether, they begin to spin in the vastness, weightless, powerless, terrified. And here's the paradox. The very person who claimed they needed space is now suffocated by the emptiness you leave behind. The one who insisted they were fine without you now feels the panic of true isolation. Your absence exposes their dependency more brutally than your presence ever could. This shift is the crack in their armor. Their carefully engineered indifference can't hold. They will try to mask it, but panic leaks out in strange ways. Sudden gestures, desperate words, uncharacteristic confessions. And though it looks like passion, though it feels like transformation, understand this, it is the last dirty game setting its stage. Because when gravity flips, they don't discover love, they discover fear. Fear of losing their power, fear of being exposed, fear of facing themselves without your energy to shield them. And that fear will drive them into their final act. The resurrection, the performance, the theater of change that is designed not to love you better, but to pull you back into orbit. It begins when you least expect it. You've already detached. You've stopped chasing, stopped bleeding yourself dry, stopped orbiting their cold indifference. For the first time, you are no longer available. And then, like lightning splitting the sky, they return. Suddenly, the person who once starved you of attention becomes a fountain overflowing with it. The same avoidant who couldn't reply to a simple text now writes paragraphs at midnight. The one who claimed to be bad with emotions suddenly speaks like a poet. Every glance feels warmer. Every word lands with uncanny precision. It looks like resurrection, like the death of the old and the birth of something miraculous. Your heart whispers, finally, this is who I always knew they could be. But stop, watch, don't get swept away. This is not rebirth. This is choreography. A perfectly staged act performed at the exact moment you no longer need the show. Think of it like theater. Every smile is a spotlight. Every promise, a rehearsed line. Every embrace a prop, carefully placed to hold your attention. Their timing is too flawless to be authentic. Real growth is messy, slow, inconsistent. But this is sharp, sudden, dazzling, and nothing that sharp is ever real. Why now? Because your indifference broke their script. For years they thrived on the certainty of your devotion. Now that certainty is gone, and panic, not love, is writing their lines. Here lies the cruel twist. Their performance mirrors your deepest desires with frightening accuracy. They studied you while they neglected you. Every complaint, every plea, every tear, catalogued, stored, remembered. And now, in desperation, they deploy that knowledge with surgical precision. They don't give you love. They give you a simulation of love. A hologram so lifelike it makes you question your own reality. But here's the truth. You cannot forget. If this devotion was always inside them, why did it take your absence to bring it out? If this effort was possible, why wasn't it offered when your loyalty was unquestioned? Because this isn't transformation. It's manipulation. Not resurrection, performance, not love, control. The resurrection theater is their last dirty game's opening act, a desperate spectacle designed to keep you seated in their audience. But once you see the strings, the magic collapses, and what remains isn't a partner reborn, it's a puppeteer exposed. When their theater of resurrection begins to lose its power, they reach for their deadliest card, not charm, not promises. Something far more dangerous. They reach for their pain. The same avoidant who once dismissed your emotions like background static, suddenly transforms into a storyteller of tragedy. With trembling voice and perfectly timed pauses, they unveil childhood scars, hidden traumas, secret fears. They cry in front of you, maybe for the first time. Their tears fall like sacred proof. See, I am human. I can feel. I can be real, and your heart stirs, because isn't this what you always wanted? For them to finally let you in. But pause, look at the timing. Why now? Why not when you begged for connection? Why not when your silence at night screamed louder than words? Why not when you pleaded, just show me the real you? Because this is not revelation, this is strategy. They waited until abandonment was a shadow on the horizon, until you detached. Until your attention no longer bent toward them like gravity. Only then do they open the vault, not because they trust you, but because they fear losing you. This is the weapon of wounds, vulnerability, carefully rationed, now deployed with surgical precision. Their pain becomes a leash, their trauma a chain, not an invitation into their heart, but a performance staged to recapture yours. And the cruelty, some of it may be true. Their childhood stories might be real, their fears might be genuine, but truth isn't the weapon, the timing is. If they could bleed before you now, they could have bled before you then. The fact that they didn't tells you everything. Notice what happens after you respond, after you soften, after you soften, after you stay. The flood of intimacy dries, the vault slams shut, and they retreat back to their fortress of distance. Because the wound wasn't shared to heal, it was shared to manipulate. The weapon of wounds doesn't aim at your defenses, it aims at your hope. Hope that they've finally awakened. Hope that the person you imagined was always hiding inside them has finally emerged. But this is not emergence. This is warfare. Emotional artillery disguised as confession. And the moment you believe it's real, the last dirty game tightens its grip. When tears don't stop you, when childhood wounds fail to chain you, they pull the next lever in their last dirty game. And this one is dangerous. Promises. Endless promises. Suddenly, the same avoidant, who once rolled their eyes at the very word change, becomes a factory of transformation pledges. Therapy. They'll book it tonight. Communication. They'll master it like a new language. Future plans. They sketch them in dazzling detail. houses, children, vacations, rituals of love. It feels overwhelming, intoxicating, like someone finally cracked open the vault and poured out everything you begged for. For years, you carried the relationship like Atlas carrying the world. And now, at the very moment you've set it down, they rush in to pick it up, swearing they'll never let you struggle again. But freeze. Look at the pattern. These promises aren't born out of growth. They are born out of panic. They didn't wake up enlightened one morning. They woke up terrified that their control was slipping through their fingers. Listen carefully. Every promise is an admission. Every declaration of "I'll change" is proof they always could. Every blueprint of "I'll do better" is evidence they knew exactly what you needed all along. If they are capable of scheduling therapy now, why not when you begged 100 times? If they are capable of deep communication now, why not when your silence was killing you? If they can dream in colors today, why did they keep your world gray yesterday? Because these promises were never about you. They were about the threat of losing you. The machinery of promises is breathtaking in its precision. It doesn't just target your desires, it resurrects your deepest wounds. Every commitment they make is tailor-cut to the very needs they once ignored. They know exactly which buttons to press, because you showed them over and over again during your starvation phase. And the cruelest part, they deliver it with such conviction that your heart leans in. For a second, you want to believe this time is different. But here is the truth. They are not offering transformation. They are offering performance. They are not revealing a new self. They are rehearsing a new role. And once your energy bends back toward them, once they feel safe again, the machinery powers down. Promises fade, plans evaporate. The mask slips, because the promises were never built to last. They were built to lure you back into orbit. This is the promise machinery, shiny, convincing, deadly. When the tears don't chain you, when the promises don't bind you, they play their coldest card. Silence, distance, strategic absence. But don't mistake this for neglect. This is not indifference. This is choreography, weaponized disappearance. Every unanswered text, every delayed call, every empty day is part of a script. They vanish not because they don't care, but because they hope their absence will hurt more than their presence ever did. Notice the precision. They don't disappear into nothingness. They disappear at you, still active online, still posting smiles, still responding to others. The message is surgical. Connection is possible, just not with you. This is punishment disguised as distance. A psychological maneuver meant to make you nostalgic for the crumbs you once hated. They believe if they starve you completely, you'll crawl back begging for even the smallest scrap of their attention. But here's the irony. Silence only tortures the starving, and you're no longer hungry. What they don't realize is that silence, the very weapon they wield to break you, becomes the oxygen that frees you. The absence that once felt unbearable now tastes like clarity. You don't hear abandonment. You hear peace. You don't feel punishment. You feel space. And in that space, the truth sharpens. You see the game for what it always was, a cycle of control masquerading as love. Their silence doesn't prove their power. It exposes their emptiness. It proves that when they have nothing left to manipulate with, all they can do is vanish. But watch carefully. Their ghosting is never permanent. It is a test. They wait for the moment you panic. They wait for the moment you break the silence first. Because the second you reach out, the punishment has worked. The leash snaps back around your neck. Yet if you don't, if you let the silence stretch, the weapon collapses, the control evaporates, their disappearance ceases to be a cage and becomes a mirror, reflecting how much lighter life is without their chaos. The punishment protocol was never about absence. It was about power. And when you stop chasing, when you stop craving, their silence becomes nothing more than noise. What they thought would break you ends up setting you free. When silence fails to starve you, when distance doesn't bend you, they ignite their loudest distraction. The show, the spectacle, the illusion of replacement. Suddenly the avoidant who once treated your presence like a burden transforms into a creature of endless energy. Their feed explodes with smiles too wide, laughs too loud, nights too dazzling. New friends, new lovers, new adventures. Every post feels like a neon billboard screaming, "Look how happy I am without you." But don't be fooled. This is not healing. This is not growth. This is theater. And you are the target audience. Notice the timing, the speed. Human hearts do not heal this fast. Trauma doesn't dissolve overnight, but the avoidant cannot wait for real recovery. It takes too long, so they manufacture the illusion. They flood the stage with borrowed joy, curated images, and public displays designed to hit you in one place, the wound of doubt. The illusion whispers, "See, you were the problem. See, they can give everything you begged for, just not to you." And for a second, it stings. You wonder, were they capable all along? Did I waste years asking for what they had hidden, only to watch them hand it freely to someone else? That's the hook. That's the trap. But look closer. Watch the cracks in the performance. Notice the manic pace, the way they need constant witnesses, constant proof, constant uploads, because the illusion requires energy to maintain, and desperation always leaves fingerprints. This is not the calm of someone who has moved on. This is the frenzy of someone who is afraid you have. Every laugh they post, every photo they stage, every night they showcase, it's not about the people beside them. It's about the shadow of you. They are not celebrating life. They are broadcasting absence. They are not moving forward. They are screaming backward. And here's the paradox. The replacement illusion only survives if you look at it. It only breathes if you watch the show. If you stop watching, the theater collapses. The actors disappear. The lights go dark. Because without your gaze there is no performance, only emptiness. The truth is simple. If they were truly happy, you wouldn't know. Genuine joy whispers in private. Real healing doesn't need an audience. Only desperation parades itself in neon. The replacement illusion is their last desperate attempt to hook your heart through envy, doubt, and regret. But once you see the trick for what it is, the spell breaks. And then you understand, they never replaced you. They can't, because what you gave wasn't attention, or affection, or supply. It was gravity. And no illusion, no theater, no stage or laughter can recreate the orbit they lost when you stopped caring. The curtain drops, the stage goes dark, and all that's left is the silence they cannot perform their way out of. This is it. The unmasking. The last dirty game. Exposed under the harsh light of truth. They were never fighting for love. They were never chasing closeness. What they were fighting for was control. Control over your heart, your energy, your orbit. Because when you revolved around them, their world was stable. You were their gravity, and now you are gone. That is what they miss. Not you, not your soul, not your laughter. What they miss is the access, the free supply of devotion, the comfort of knowing you would always bend, always chase, always forgive. That system is broken, and in the ruins of that collapse they are clawing to survive. But here is the cosmic revelation. You win the moment you stop playing, not by rage, not by pleading, not even by proving your worth. You win by indifference. Indifference is the firewall, the shield they cannot breach, the equation they cannot solve. Because when you no longer react, when their silence no longer starves you, when their replacements no longer sting, when their promises no longer hypnotize, you become untouchable. Their theater burns out in the dark, because an audience that refuses to watch cannot be controlled. Listen closely. You are no longer revolving around them. You are your own gravity now. The orbit has shifted forever, and if these words shook you, if you felt something unlock inside, then this is your moment. Don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button, because more truths like this are coming. Share this with someone who needs to see the mask fall. Drop your story in the comments, because your voice matters here. And yes, smash that like, because every like tells the algorithm, We are done with their games. This is not just a video. This is a movement. And you just stepped into your power.